Sly James heads up Kansas City government. In Wyandotte County, it's Mark Holland. In Jackson County, it's Mike Sanders. And for the last 4 years, Johnson County has been led by this man, Ed Eilert. Now he's seeking re-election. But does he deserve 4 more years in office? This week we debate the issues in Johnson County with Eilert and his opponent. Plus, we had set aside this week's show for the light rail election on the November ballot in Kansas City. But with the man who put it on the ballot now asking people to vote no, we talked to Clay Chastain, who's so angry at the city he announced this week he's running for mayor. And get ready for Kobach versus Chodoff, the debate for Kansas Secretary of State. Hello, I'm Nick Haynes. Great to have you with us again. It's been another incredibly newsy week in Kansas City, and we salute the continuing good fortunes of the Royals. But as we inch ever closer to Election Day, we feel obligated to continue to be the place that keeps you informed of those key races on both sides of our state line. Right now, could there be a shakeup in Johnson County, where the head of Johnson County government, Ed Eilert, is being challenged for the job he has held for the past 4 years by a former state lawmaker from Olathe, Patricia Leitner. She's a compliance auditor for the Kansas Securities Commission, an independent state agency set up to protect Kansas investors. We appreciate both of you being with us on the program. There is a lot of anti-incumbency mood in the country right now, Ed Eilert. Okay, and this is a what have you done for me lately kind of a job. If I met you in the grocery store and asked you, what have you done for me lately in Johnson County, how would you respond?
Well, I would be glad to respond to that question. My term as chairman for the last 4 years has been a challenge. We've been dealing with the after effects or the effects of the Great Recession. And I'm pleased to say that we have come through that experience in excellent shape. We have not increased taxes. The county is in sound financial condition, and we've made some moves in the past 3 or 4 years to make that happen, downsizing, merging, and initiating a strict discipline on spending.
So why would anyone want to change what they've now seen with Ed Eilert there over the last 4 years? People don't know you, Patricia Leitner. You were in the state legislature, but how do they know you can actually do this job? Huge budget, a lot of people running Johnson County government.
Well, Nick, I have the experience from the State House working on budgets much larger than Johnson County, as well as issues that surround a lot of the same issues that we deal here in the county level. I said, but what really I'm running for is to bring more transparency and open government to Johnson County, because there's been a lack of it recently under Mr. Eilert's chairmanship. And by that I mean the meetings in the basement where they're not recorded, where they're discussing issues to such a length that when they go upstairs where they are recorded, there's really not much of a discussion, just a vote. And there's even actually, I've been told, 1 or 2 votes taken downstairs. And I think it's important that government be open and transparent with its citizens at all times.
But there's a difference between being in the legislature, whether you're one of more than 100 votes when you were in the Kansas House, and being the person where the rubber hits the road. You're the one who's the ultimate decision maker.
Well, that's right. But remember, there's still a board, too, that makes all the decisions. But let's talk a minute about what the chairman duties are. They're to run the board meetings. I've run meetings. I did that at the State House. They're to look at the issues, look at the budget that's been put before you by the county manager and his assistants, who are the ones who actually put together all the budget and make those decisions. Look at the programs. Look at how the monies are being spent. Are they being spent effectively, wisely? Asking those tough questions. I've done all that, 6 years of that, Nick, to vet out basically what we need to do to make it worthwhile for our monies and to spend wisely and to keep taxes low.
Patricia Leitner mentioning, though, a lack of transparency, though, in some of those decision-making?
I would completely disagree with that assessment. Our meetings are broadcast on cable TV. They are streamed online. The Board of County Commissioner meets every Thursday. We have committee of the whole meetings where we discuss issues. Those are also broadcast, streamed online, are archived, so you can go back and look at any of those decisions. We do have study sessions which are not broadcast. They are informal sessions where the staff can relay information to the commission. We make absolutely no decisions at those meetings. They are posted. The press is invited. The public is invited. And we've had both groups attend those meetings. It's completely open. From the dais, we announce the time, the place, the agenda is presented, completely transparent.
Okay, so you've been there 4 years. You've told us what you have done. Say you get elected again to another 4-year term. What's the first thing you are going to do when you get re-elected, Ed Eilert?
Well, we will have, there are 3 positions that are up for election. And so depending upon the results of those elections, we will have some early strategy sessions. And to bring the group together, the top priorities that I would have over the next 4 years involve public safety, the Sheriff's Department, MedAct, emergency services, as well as fire districts. Education, very, very important. Our K through 12 higher education opportunities, the foundation of our success in Johnson County. Job creation, working with cities, our libraries and parks need to be attended to, need improvement, and we need to address those issues.
You have just been voted in as the new Johnson County chair. The voters said, yes, we wanted a change. So what's the first thing you do when you get elected, Patricia Leitner?
I'm going to call in all of the staff that has to deal with the budget, and that's the county manager and his assistant managers as the top people. We're going to go through the budget. If need be, I'm going to bring in an independent auditor. We're going to look for all the inefficiencies. We're going to double check through all the programs that deliver the services to the homeless, the other mental health services, healthcare services. We're going to go through each program, find the waste and inefficiency, put those dollars where they're more effective.
But you've been running for office now for a while.
We're going to sell the King Louis building.
Can you name me one inefficiency you've seen right now?
Well, the purchase of I'm just going to talk about waste, the purchase of the King Louis building. Okay.
Well, let's bring people up to speed with that. People may remember that story, what to do with this King Louis bowling alley on Metcalf Avenue, which the county bought 3 years ago and is still mothballed, $3.6 million in public money later. It's something that many Johnson County residents are still angry with. What would happen if you're elected? Would it be sold off?
One of 2 things, I think, are 2 of my top options. The first one would be to sell it off, if we could get a decent price to recoup at least some of the monies. The second thing would be, I have had a real estate developer approach me and say, you know, I'll take that building off your hand. I'll give you a better piece of property in Johnson County. I'll help you build a museum, the museum that they want to replace over at Lackman that's having all the mold issues and everything. So depending on which idea would work out better, we would pursue either of those.
And the fate of that building, if you're re-elected, Ed Eilert, is what?
I fully support moving ahead with the plan that we put in place when the building was purchased. And just a little history. Back in 2007, the current facility had flood problems in the lower level. They can't use it. 2 years later, the museum board came to the commission and said, we'd like to spend $15 to $20 million on a new facility. The commission said, no, we're in the middle of a recession. Go out and see if you can find an existing building that's not being utilized or is underutilized that was to the purposes. 2 years later, they came back with a proposal to buy the King Louis building. The numbers are this, that we purchased the building for a little less than $2 million and for less than $15 million, less than the original cost of building a new facility. We will have space for the Historic Museum. We will have space for the election office, not only for training, but for advanced voting. We will have space to place the Enterprise Center at Johnson County, which currently pays $250,000 a year in rent. And we will also have space for the library, parks, and the museum to do some joint programming.
So you're going to hold course with this building?
Absolutely, yes. Yes. Okay. It's good value. We need the space for county programs, important county programs, and we can save dollars that we're currently paying out in rent for county agency activities.
Patricia Leitner, what would you say is the biggest difference between you and your opponent?
Is that I would know when to say stop when I've made a mistake. And King Louis building was a mistake. When that building, to correct Mr. Eilert just a little bit here, when that building was purchased, the whole idea was to put in this Museum of Suburbia, and all of that has fallen to the wayside. So they switched gears, and he's going to find ways to expand government and put more things in there when this wasn't needed when the building was purchased. There was no definitive plan. That's why it has sat there for 3 years. So my idea is when you've made a mistake in government, you stop. You don't keep spending money. Nick, I've walked neighborhoods. I've been to events. I've attended all kinds of different deals. Everyone I've talked to, everyone says the same thing. Why do we still have King Louis? They're so mad about that building being bought. Not one person has said, gee, I'm so glad we bought King Louis. Not one person. Everyone considers it a waste of taxpayer money.
So Patricia Leitner points out a distinction between you and her. What do you think is the biggest difference between the two of you?
I think the biggest difference is the experience that I bring to the office. I've had 40 years of private sector experience as a financial advisor, as a board member of a community bank, and continue as a board member of the trust company. I have used those private sector business models, business experience, to make directions in local government. I have a record of productive, successful management of local government. And you can look at my record. As mayor of the largest city in Johnson County, we accomplished many, many things of significant benefit to Johnson County. My last 4 years, again, I would ask folks to look at that record, what we've been able to do to save taxpayer dollars, to reorganize and downsize county government, to make it more efficient.
So when people will look at this and say, oh, there's an experience gap then between Ed Eilert and Patricia Leitner.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry, I don't have the same experience as Mr. Eilert as buying piece of junk buildings for more than they were worth. I don't have the experience of raising taxes on Johnson Countyans back on July 3rd, then backtracking when that tax would hurt those that are still in poverty and still struggling here in Johnson County. I don't have experience when 19 years ago as mayor of Overland Park ordering an illegal, unwarranted criminal investigation on a political opponent, which ended up costing the Overland Park taxpayers over $100,000. I don't have that kind of experience. My experience is to be a lawmaker that works to serve the public, not the other way around. To work to use those taxpayer monies for the benefit of the people. And here in the county government, it's for the infrastructure. Why are we putting all these millions of dollars, and I've heard that there's going to be a $30 million bond issue or something like that, to fund King Louis? We have a problem with our wastewater treatment plant, Nick. It's not growing to meet the needs of the county, and because of the rules that have come down by the EPA recently, it needs to be updated as well. Why are we tossing those monies into this building from the past when we should be concentrating on working on what Johnson County really needs, not what Mr. Eilert wants, which is the King Louis building?
A response to that, Mr. Eilert.
Well, again, the $30 million number is totally out of this world. I don't know where that comes from. We'll be able to complete King Louis for less than $15 million and have available space for these other activities. You know, I haven't talked about lowering taxes. I haven't talked about gaining efficiencies in government. I haven't talked about returning value for taxpayer dollars. I've done that. I've done that as chairman of the Johnson County Commission, and I've done that as mayor and city councilman. That's undeniable. And I will continue to focus on those activities that make our county one of the best places to live, work, and raise a family.
You know, the biggest news story in town this week, and for the past several weeks, of course, has been the Kansas City Royals. While Kauffman Stadium has been mobbed with enthusiastic fans like never before, Mr. Eilert, you opposed the second bi-state tax that would have funded stadium improvements there, even though a large portion of the license plates in the parking lot are from Johnson County residents. You also opposed funding for a regional tax for the Kansas City Zoo. So question is there any tax for an amenity or service outside of the boundaries of Johnson County that you would endorse as head of Johnson County government as you seek a second term in office?
Well, let's go back and talk about that bi-state tax for the stadiums. There was an effort, and many of us in Johnson County were supportive of that effort until the Missouri legislature refused to expand the sports authority and allow representatives from Johnson County and the other counties to participate in those decision making. So it really was taxation without representation, and I think that was the key factor involved there. And so there was also some issues involved with the arts. But I will say this, My responsibility is to Johnson County. My responsibility is to Johnson County taxpayers. I think under the circumstances of what's been happening at state government the last several years and the removal of local funding options at the city and the county level, that metropolitan effort is very unlikely to happen because we have issues that we need to deal with.
So you can't anticipate any issue, a service or amenity outside of Johnson County that would benefit the broader metropolitan area that you would support or endorse in the next 4 years?
I don't see that.
How about you, Patricia Leitner? Obviously, Ed Eilert has already been there. You haven't.
Well,
would you support any of those?
I want to address one issue first, and that is that Mr. Eilert loves to spend. And if you look
can
at the
you answer this question? Can you answer this question?
Sir.
Thank you.
I think in regards to the bi-state authority, Johnson County didn't have a seat at the table. I would be real hard-pressed to support something like that because I do not want to commit Johnson County and subject itself, its authority, to another body.
Okay, well, what is the role of the Johnson County chair, even transcending the boundaries of Johnson County and advocating beyond its boundaries for certain issues? You mentioned earlier, Mr. Eilert, about that schools was one of the foundational issues for Johnson County and having good schools. Is it the role of the Johnson County chair to advocate to Kansas lawmakers, for instance, as some would like in school districts in Johnson County, to ask for more funding because they are falling behind? Would you, as the Johnson County chair, advocate for increased funding in the state legislature for school districts in Johnson County?
I have been actively involved in meeting with our school superintendents over the past several years. Johnson County, or the county commission, does not have a direct responsibility for schools in Johnson County. But I think it is important for us to stand up and support those school officials and work towards the proper funding for those school activities. So I think there is a leadership role there.
Patricia
I sat on the education committee in the state legislature for 6 years, Nick, and I will tell you I never once saw a county commissioner come before the committee at any time to advocate for anything for the schools. It is not expressly listed there in the Johnson County Board's duties. Any advocating I would do would be very small, and it would be among the Johnson County delegation. But it is not a specific duty that is assigned to the Johnson County Commission.
What do you think is the most pressing issue facing Johnson County right now, Patricia Leitner?
It's probably, I'm going to go back to the spending issue, because Johnson County is a tremendous place to live.
So you
but
think
it's
if you ask the average voter in Johnson County, you ask them what the most pressing issue is, they'd say spending?
It has to be affordability, doesn't it? You have to be able to afford to live in Johnson County. Johnson County government needs to operate so that it provides all the amenities and all the things that we love about Johnson County at the lowest possible cost. Because if not, then I don't think government is doing its job. Like, for instance, one of the things that Mr. Eilert did when he first came into office was they had the commissioner's offices redecorated. This was still 2011. This was still the height of the recession. To me, that was not a responsible way to spend government money at that time. Or any time.
Okay, your response then, Mr. Eilert.
I'm sure he's going to have a response.
In fact, we have saved taxpayers on the order of $40 to $45 million by not raising taxes. That's my record. I'm very proud of that. We have reduced full-time positions in the county in my term as office by almost 200, 192 positions. We are gaining efficiencies in county operations. I will continue that commitment.
Okay, you've seen and heard two very different views of the future of Johnson County with two different people. That is all we have time for. You've been hearing from the two candidates wanting to lead Johnson County for the next 4 years, the incumbent office holder Ed Eilert and former state lawmaker Patricia Leitner. Thank you so much for being with us. If you're watching our Friday night edition of Week in Review, coming up next at 8 on KCPT, we take you to Topeka for Kobach versus Chodov, the Kansas Secretary of State's debate, which is getting a lot of national attention because of the immigration issue.
He is hurting 22,000 people and many other citizens in this state who have lost their voting rights.
Every time a non-citizen votes, it cancels out the vote of a U.S. citizen. Now, Ms. Chodorf says that, she voted for it, but now she's against it. Well, look, I want to know exactly why there's anything wrong with requiring people to prove their U.S. citizenship when they vote.
We've heard about how Mr. Kobach doesn't have enough work to do, so he has a part-time law practice where he goes and makes a lot of money and has never told us how much he makes or what his conflicts are.
Mr. Kobach.
If I want to spend my spare time working to stop illegal immigration at home in Kansas, after hours typing away on a computer, or spend a weekend sending a brief, and that's my choice. You don't need a Secretary of State who plays golf. You just need a Secretary of State who's getting the job done.
You can see that full debate at 8 on KCPT. This half hour we'd actually devoted entirely to a debate on the upcoming light rail election in Kansas City, but after waging an exhaustive and successful legal battle to get the city to put his light rail issue on the ballot, transit activist Clay Chastain has announced he is opposing the very measure he fought for. In fact, Chastain is now campaigning against a pair of questions that will appear on the November 4th ballot in Kansas City, Missouri, and urging voters to vote no. He's so angry with the city, in fact, he announced this week he's running for mayor against Sly James. Here he is, Clay Chastain. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Nick. It's nice to see you again.
Help us understand all of this. Why are you now telling people to vote no?
Well, for one thing, it's not my light rail plan anymore. It's not the light rail initiative that 4,000 voters petitioned demanding a vote on. And they basically taken the ballot language and taken a knife to it and gutted it. And what
would happen if people said yes?
Well, the first thing is that they're giving the government a blank fill in the project check for about $1.5 billion over the next 25 years. I couldn't advocate that people vote for that. That wouldn't be in the public interest.
So even if people voted yes for this, you don't think it would lead to a light rail plan in Kansas City?
No, I don't. In fact, Councilman Ford said in the Northland Forum that some people wanted to use it to extend the streetcar line. Some people wanted to use it for other infrastructure projects. So it was going to be like a cookie jar for the city. And so it lost all of its meaning. It was a farce. And it was depressing to work that hard for 3 years in court to get something on the ballot and have Mayor Sly James sabotage the ballot language. And they're going to say, oh, the Supreme Court made us do it. That's like, you know, the mother, Billy telling the mama when he's done something bad, oh, Johnny made me do it. The Supreme Court didn't make them put that ballot language on. In fact, the court asked the city to, if they wanted to compromise on the ballot language, the court would amend her order, and Sly James said, no, sir.
Well, you're so angered at him now that you are running against him for mayor of Kansas City, Missouri. Yet we just had a former city councilman, Dan Coffran, look at that race and say, he can't quite make that work. It's too difficult an undertaking to take on Sly James as an incumbent mayor. Why do you think you have a shot at that?
Well, first of all, I have some issues to run on him against. I'm going to restore the people's trust in their government, and I'm going to give them a light rail vision that's going to move this city forward. And I'm going to run an honest, open, transparent government, unlike what he's done. So I have some issues I can run on him against. And, you know, Nick, when the people petition their government, and they follow the procedural rules prescribed by the law, the government has to answer that petition. They have to respect the voters, put it on the ballot. This mayor took a sledgehammer to it, and then for good measure, he rolled over it with a steamroller. Now, I don't know what kind of government that is, but it's not Lincoln's government of, by, and for the people, and I want to assure the people that if I'm elected, I'll be a mayor for the people.
Now, Dan Coffran was living in Kansas City, Missouri. Some people say, well, you've been out in Bedford, Virginia. Before that, you were in Tennessee. You've been away from Kansas City more than a decade. Don't you have to live in Kansas City to be able to run for mayor?
The charter says you have to have resided in the city for at least 5 years. I resided here permanently for 20 years. Then the other part of it says that you have to have resided in the last 2 years prior to the election. Now, I have resided here. We have a home that's been in our family for 35 years that I bought in 1980. I reside there when I'm here, and I've been here a lot fighting this corruption and trying to save the Light Rail Initiative petition from not being allowed to be placed on the ballot. And furthermore, I'm a registered voter here. I registered in 2011. So where you're registered to vote, that's where things affect your community, and that's where home is. So home is Kansas City, and I think the issue, Nick, is more about who can the people trust, who has the vision to make a brighter future for this city, and I believe I do. That's the issue. If they want to, if Mayor Sly James has not even raised the residents issue, has he? This Kansas City Star has raised it. They've manufactured this story, reported on this story, but the mayor hasn't raised the issue, and I think that's because the mayor knows he's already blocked the vote.
A successful candidate needs to have a base of support. Where would you derive your base of support?
First of all, I won last time in 2006. 75,000 people supported my vision for light rail and to make a new Central City Park and Penn Valley Park. They supported that. And I wasn't living in Kansas City at the time. So those voters knew what was important to them. They put away all this noise about where you live. That's not really important. If you could step off the plane from Timbuktu, Mali, Africa, and if you've got a vision that the people think will help the city and they trust you and there's a campaign, they vote for you, you ought to be elected mayor.
Okay, Clay Chastain, thank you so much for being with us on Week in Review. That is it for this week's program. All the important ballot questions and races on both sides of state line in your handy-dandy guide to election 2014 in our Metro next week on the program with our journalists. Join us then. I'm Nick Haynes from all of us here at KCPT. Thanks for spending part of your weekend with us.